Good evening and welcome back to the Mancunian Way. We are back live Thursday night, 10 o'clock. We are back. We've had our break and the gruesome twosome have joined me again. I could at least smile.
Good morning.
How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Not bad. Yourselves?
Yeah, not
good.
bad. Rich, how are you, mate? Australia, first thing in the morning.
Well, it's nice and cool here. We haven't had 40 degrees in our winter. It just hasn't stopped raining for about 6 months, but I'm great.
Feels like we haven't seen rain in 6 months, mate.
Yeah. Well, the world's a bit strange at the moment, that's for sure.
Yeah, what we're doing is we're getting your weather and you're getting ours.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about upside down. It literally is.
Yeah. We're in winter, so we're used to it.
Can I come over there then? I don't do 40-odd degree. I don't know what I'm not doing well at the moment.
It'll be 40-odd degrees here soon enough. I think we'll have a couple of years of this rain and then we'll go into 5 years of drought. Luckily, the dams are full.
By the way, everyone who's in the chat, good evening. Thank you for bearing with us over the last 2 months while we've had a little break. We thought we'd let the drama play out, and boy, has there been drama, which we will get into. By the way, can you all comment on Richie's new glasses? Because if you don't notice him, he's not going to be happy, bunny. Come on, tell him how nice his glasses look.
Yeah, they're almost identical to the last pair.
But I was in notice, Rich.
We'll talk about my hairstyle then. I've got a new trim ready for me holiday. Anyway, so yeah, Manchester City. Been busy, boys. Now, I do seem to remember 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I was tongue-in-cheek in this when I went, there's going to be a lot of changes at Manchester City in the summer, and I thought, don't really believe a lot of that. I thought, nah. Boy, was I wrong. Well, I was wrong in being right, but I was right spent on the money, but I wasn't trying to be right, if you know what I mean. Yeah, all change at Manchester City. Few in, 1 or 2 out. Rich, come to you first. Thoughts on the whole saga before we go 1v1 and where we're at?
I think it's making for an exciting season. I mean, it's we often go into the season without much change, and I think we talked a fair bit last year about how we needed to refresh. The team had some aging elements. Wanted some more hunger, and and that has happened. And I think overall, probably the 2 players we thought needed to leave for their careers and for their good go with our blessing, and we've replaced. Yeah, I mean, probably 3 players go with our blessing, but Fernandinho is a slightly different one because he was 37, so I think that was inevitable. And the one that's probably got the fans talking a lot more has been Sterling going, which probably seems to have happened with slightly less of a fan's blessing than Zinchenko and Jesus, and how that will go. The other thing that's pretty clear this summer is that only the Premier League's got any money to spend. So, with the exception of a few, nearly relegated players and freebies and retirees going to Barcelona, most of the movement has taken place within the Premier League, and we've had to sell to our rival with Sterling, which has been unusual for us to buy or sell from rivals, because that's where the money in the game is sitting at the moment. So I think it's exciting, and I think we go into next season, stronger, pending the fact we sign a left back, and yeah, exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what the players are like.
God, I'm just wondering what your headphones have done to you there. You're beating them up. I'm sure we'll get onto the Sterling stuff, because I think a certain man at the top right has a lot to say on a certain Raz Mataz. What I'm going to do is, yes, before anyone notices, we have changed graphics. There is now a new layout. We wanted to make it a little bit different. New season, new layout, everything else. So, yeah, Dudley Lewis. There he goes. Good evening, mate. Can you even put comments on the screen now? Believe it or not. So, hello to everyone. Ozzy, your overall thoughts on this summer as a whole? Surprised, not surprised, before we get into one by one?
No, I think as you both touched upon, we were talking, last season where we thought things needed a refresh, and we needed new players to come in positions that we felt needed covering, other players being cleared out, and moving on. Again, some with our blessing and some, well, we'll get onto in a bit. But I think it's been, like you said earlier on, we thought there would be some changes, but we were thinking, are City actually going to spend the money? Are they actually going to go out there and get these players? It's been really interesting, actually, hasn't it? With the amount of changes that have come in.
I've hated it. I've actually genuinely hated it. In terms of, I thought Haaland. And do you know what it was for me? Haaland was announced early, really early. You got the excitement. And then I thought, right, this summer, it's 10 out of 10. It can't be beat. And then it became an escalator to the exit door for everyone. And I'm like, what's going on now? Has Haaland cost more money than what we've all imagined here? Has he cost 500 million and we're trying to claw money back? And I was like, every time you picked up anything or read anything, someone's leaving, someone's disappearing, someone's not happy. Then Pep did his interview in Spain about not being able to keep people happy, and it was the hardest job. And then I went in a nice, peaceful summer.
But the thing is, Martin, though, I mean, with the squad that we've got, we knew the amount of rotation that Pep does, it is extremely hard for him to keep every player happy, i.e., Sterling. So to be the best team in the land, which we have been for the last, 4 seasons, winning four Premier Leagues in the last 5 seasons, it shows that it's worked, but it does come with a bit of a cost when it comes to Pep trying to keep every player happy. And we have heard rumblings. It's not just been Sterling. There have been other players that have kind of behind the scenes said that, they're not happy with their game time and they're thinking about leaving. And then, so it is a struggle to keep every player happy. But with the amount of competitions there are that we play in, enough players are going to get game time. It's just players have to accept that. If you're going to the likes of City, Liverpool, Chelsea, you are going to be playing in lots of competitions and you are going to get your game time. It's just, are you going to be the star you think you want to be?
And I think there's different players. I mean, Zinchenko, he'll go with City fans' blessing. He only played in 15 Premier League games last year, and quite a few of those were off the bench. So he really wasn't getting game time, and he's an attacking midfielder. He wants to be playing where, a Bernardo or De Bruyne role, and he's playing, a third of City's left-back games. So Zinchenko's, he deserves to go. He's got to go. I'm sad. I think he's a great footballer. He's a great player to have in your squad.
Say he deserves to go, and I kind of agree with you. I agree with every point you just made, saying he deserves to go. But the argument I'd have is he's such a versatile player, and he is a very much a Pep player. Are we going to miss him? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because at the moment,
undoubtedly,
we haven't got left back cover, have we? Right now, at the moment, we've got Cancelo, and we've got a guy from the academy. So at the moment, we haven't got that cover. So my worry is if we don't get anybody in, we haven't strengthened.
If that happens, we will though. I mean, we'll pony up what Tony Bloom wants, and we'll have Cucurella. If he does something really stupid like wants 60 million, we'll go elsewhere. But we'll sign a left back. I think the reality is that we've managed to keep Zinchenko and Jesus happy, not playing anywhere near as many games as the quality of the footballer they are deserves. And at some point, they would have started to resent that. So they go, having been model professionals here, they go, we actually got good, good money, particularly for Jesus. I think before those 4 goals against Watford, we might have only got 25 for him, and his run at the end of the season pushed that up. But they go, having been happy and not disruptive. Had they stayed a season too long and they started to get unhappy, that would be a real damage to our squad, because I think our squad has relied on a small, motivated, well-connected squad without people throwing their toys out the prams. The only one who's maybe slightly different is Sterling, who obviously has massive amounts of, views on both extremes from the supporter base. For me, his numbers are going to be missed. His goals, his assists, and everything else are going to be missed. But something's gone on behind the scenes, because he's exited the club after 7 years in quite a quiet way. He's gone to a rival. He hasn't got the money. He hasn't got any more money than he was offered at City. So, it looks like he either felt he wasn't playing the big games he needed to. He'd fallen out with Pep. He wanted to get out of Manchester. What it is, I don't know. But that's a funny one, because I think he's made a mistake. He's gone to a team where he needs a striker. He's best with a really solid 9. He's just got the best 9 in the world signed for City. And then he's gone to a team who've just sold their striker. So for me, I think he might be a bit of a disappointment at Chelsea. Whereas I think
a lot of people agree.
Jesus
a lot of people not agree with me on it, Rich.
Yeah,
well,
but
I agree.
I think he should have stayed.
Yeah.
I think he should have stayed. I think he'd have got games. I think he'd have been perfect.
We know.
And I think we'll miss him.
Yeah, we know he's a divisive figure within the fan base. There are a lot of supporters who get very frustrated with Sterling, But if you look at his records, you look at his numbers, he has been one of our best players. He really has. I mean, honestly, Martin, you can pull that face as much as you like. But
I'm going to say, look at the numbers, Oz. They've drastically dropped in the last 2 or 3 years.
They have drastically dropped, but as Rich was saying, the reason for that has been because we haven't had can't get that word out now. We haven't had a striker, basically, have we? Now, as Rich said, we've got one of the best strikers on the planet right now, and he's gone to Chelsea, and they haven't got a striker right now. They are probably going to have to play a false 9 for probably most of this season, unless they get somebody in.
Yeah.
From what you're hearing,
and their problem is forwards who aren't great clinical finishers.
No.
And they've bought a forward who isn't a great clinical finisher. Whereas, so it's strange to me. And I think the other question probably, and everyone will have their views on this, is that, he goes, but, even someone who's a big Raz fan, and really appreciating his stats and stuff, it is clear he doesn't quite have the connection with the City fans, even the City fans who like him, that say Fernandinho does, or the Silvers and the companies, who we've had. There's something there that does seem a little bit strange.
I think I know what partly it might be. Is that a couple of years ago, obviously there was the interview with Real Madrid, and he was like, I'd love to go there one day. So we've always felt that he was going to leave, and he wasn't going to be one of the stayers like the Agueros, the Silvers, the companies. He was eventually going to go. I think the shock has been that he hasn't gone to the likes of Real Madrid or Barcelona. And we know that Barcelona came in January for him, and obviously couldn't get that deal done. And obviously this summer he wasn't going to Barcelona. They'd already got Torres from us, so they weren't going for him for Sterling. And Real Madrid have already got those positions covered. So where else was he going to go? Wasn't going to go to PSG. Wasn't going to go to Bayern Munich. So it was Chelsea were the only team to come in for him. And sadly, I think for him it is a sideways, if not backward step.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
it's back. It's not sideways. It's
No, but I mean,
backwards.
you're
It
going to
really
be
is.
polite.
I'll get it in a minute, ladies and gents. These two are just having their own little chat here for 10 minutes. I'll get in. I promise
It
you,
makes
I'll
a
come
change,
in.
Martin. It makes a nice change.
My thing
Go on,
with
Martin.
Sterling is, am I surprised he's gone? No, I really am not, because I said this to you, Rich. I don't think they were ever letting him out on a free. It was never going to happen. City just don't allow 26, 27, 28-year-olds out on frees while they've still got a reasonable market value. I do think ideally the idea was to always go abroad with him. I think it was Real Madrid, Barcelona. Problem is, you've got only people in England have money right now. Everyone around, we know Barcelona's issues. Real Madrid had already siphoned off their money over onto other targets. So there was only one place he was ever going to go, and it was in England. And Chelsea, yes, is probably the surprise destination, especially the way Chelsea fans have treated him in the past. We all know the disgusting comments that were made by Chelsea fans towards Sterling whilst playing for Manchester City. But I think from what people know and what we've all heard is it got to a point where I think City had outgrown Sterling and Sterling had just outgrown City. I think it just had to happen. I don't think they could have gone on together, because it's come out since that apparently he did ask for a move in January on loan somewhere. He did ask to go. So, to be totally honest, I just think for the last 12 months, this was coming. This was always happening. You could tell. And I think the Aston Villa benching of him on that final game, I think, was just the final nail of, see ya, I'm not here anymore. And we all heard that story 12 months ago when Pep and Sterling had that big row, and apparently Sterling had gone into the dressing room, and then for the next two games, you didn't see Sterling even in the squad. And the trouble is with Pep, he doesn't suffer fools lightly. You cross Pep, and that's it. You're generally done. And I think Sterling had just got to that point. And then to go, can I have KDB money? I just don't think that was ever going to happen. And they thought, see ya. But the thing that has surprised me is that the majority of the backlash from the fans, because Sterling is not left with any niceness. Sterling is literally left with a lot of good luck. You were sort of done. See you later. It's as though like he hasn't done anything for years. And
yeah, no, it's funny.
The majority of the fan base have just literally like, move on, see you later. Sterling's done.
Yeah, you know, there's. I think there's actually somewhere. I think there's some bad blood, and you know, I have a theory as to why it may be, and the story is, and you know, it actually makes sense that he, and when he fired his agent a couple of years ago, and for quite a period after you move agents or you fire agents, your previous agent still gets you know, commission, etc., for something that happens, you know, within a certain legal period after the deal. And you know, it appears to me that maybe City and Sterling were talking about renewing, and Sterling used the fact he didn't want to sign a deal within 12 months or whatever the period was of moving from his agent, and City went along with that, and you know, in a gentleman's agreement. And then as Sterling's got into that last 18 months and gone past that barrier, he's, you know, then potentially used that to try and drum up a higher amount of money than had been discussed. And that maybe there's actually some, you know, not just with Pep, but maybe there's some, you know, breakdown of trust actually between, you know, Sterling and the money men at City about that, because that makes sense. You know, that you do often have those clauses, and if City had given him some leeway and agreed to let his contract go further without renewal because of that to help him, and then he's used that, maybe that's caused an irrevocable breakdown. You know, my surprise is, honestly, Martin, is not that, you know, City wouldn't want to lose a player for nothing, but actually all the control was with Sterling. And I find it really bizarre And this is why I think there must have been something that's making this quite emotionally driven to get out of City, is that rationally, to stay at City, to play with Haaland, to go to the World Cup with City, and then to run your contract down, he could have pocketed the 50 million that we've got for him. He could have pocketed that in a year's time. That could have been his money. So he has foregone tens of millions of pounds to move to Chelsea. And to do that, you have to be pretty emotionally driven. So something has to have gone on. Either he thinks he's going to miss out on the World Cup. He has really fallen out with Pep or the club, because it's not rational for him to have let City get a transfer fee that big. It really isn't. But who knows?
I think the other thing as well is that we think of Sterling and we think about all the criticism that he's had, especially from the media. And then all of a sudden, the media is the new darling. Like, he's gone to Chelsea, and even Chelsea fans are going, what a brilliant player we've got. So if he was so bad, why is everyone so happy?
He's a good player. He's a
very good player.
He's been the opposite. City
fans
fans have turned on him now, and Chelsea fans now love him. And that's anyway. Let's talk. I don't want to spend all night.
Can I just say one thing? Just one thing before we move on from Sterling. I mean, we brought it up amongst the three of us about doing a kind of like Sterling's legacy. So I do want to say to everyone out there that we are going to have a look at Sterling's legacy in another video.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm wishing Zinchenko and
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's others who've gone.
So.
Jesus has gone. Zinchenko has gone. Lavia has gone out on loan with a buyback. Benzuna's gone with a buyback to Southampton. Gabby, there's been a few. Zach Steffen's gone to Borough on loan. So there's a lot of movement. We are going to get onto the ins. I just want to touch on the outs, and then we can get the excitement going for Haaland, Calvin Phillips, and possibly even more, which we'll talk about in a moment, because I do think we are now in a situation of we desperately do need a left back. But Jesus, I presume everyone's gone with the blessing, happy with that. Wish him all the best at Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
he was an influential player for us. The goals he scored. I think Arsenal have got a brilliant player on their hands. They've done really well out of this deal, and I think he'll do pretty well for them. Whether or not he'll be the number 9 that they want, that we never really got out of him, well, time will tell. But
is there any surprises in terms of like Egan Riley's gone, Lavia's gone? I know they've got buybacks, which I do think is a very smart bit of business by City, because in essence it could be a 2-year loan, and then you bring back, which could save them 40-50 million down the line. Because obviously, I think it's 40 million to buy back for Lavia. They haven't. I don't think they've done that for Egan Riley though, which was surprising. Joining Vinny over at Burnley. Taylor, how was Bellis? Go on. Oh.
Bellis is on loan. Egan Riley.
Yeah, Bellis is at Burnley as well.
We've got 30% buyback, haven't we?
Is there anyone who's left
30%
who you thought that shocked me? That was unexpected.
Probably the only one I thought who is highly rated is Lavia, but by all accounts he is still highly rated by City, but they have decided that selling with buybacks is a better way to do it than loans, because players don't get played when they're in loan. They don't get invested in the same way. So City have figured that, and it kind of worked. Well, it didn't work. It worked financially with Angelino, in that we did that with Angelino and we bought him back and we sold him on for more. He wasn't quite good enough. But clearly their aim is that if they do that, then we have to pay 20 million to buy them back. But they've been trained up to become 60 million players, and we buy them back for 30. So, it makes sense. I think there's also new rules, isn't there, that you're pretty limited with players over 20, how many you can loan out. So
yeah, apparently that's nothing to do with it, because it doesn't include homegrown, which Lavia is. So a lot of So there's no homegrown in it, and is it over 23?
Yeah, I'm not sure Lavia is homegrown. I thought Lavia had only been here.
No, I'm going to say Lavia is not
years.
homegrown. He's
under 23 anyway, so he wouldn't be in that loan.
Yeah,
Egan Riley wouldn't. Banzuna wouldn't. You got to also remember, I might be butchering his name. I do apologise. But Banzuna, he's a Republic of Ireland international. He can't be sat on the bench and on the bench and on the bench. The same with Gabby in a World Cup year. The same with Zinke. I mean, the funny thing about Zinke is, looks like he's going to go to Arsenal and play left back. That's the real weird thing behind this, because they wanted to go and get Martinez, but United got him, and now it looks like they've got Zinchenko to cover the Martinez transfer they never got in. So it looks like you've got to realise that. I think, to be totally honest, I'm sad Zinchenko's gone more because we've now factually, I know we've got Wilson Esbrand, and he was really good last night, because we are going to touch on last night as well when we talk about the incomings. But he's a young lad still. He's a young lad. There is no other left back in the club. Is that not worrying anyone right now? Am I the only one?
Well,
we've gone from a stage of square pegs and round holes with left backs to no left backs.
Martin, people keep saying this, but the fact is,
Rich.
people, the fact, no, it's not. The fact is, Cancelo is now a left back. He's not a right back. He's been much better as left back for 18 months. He's picked at left back. The only time, he goes at right back is if we've got injuries and we've got no choice but to play him there because Stones and everyone else are out. So I think we have to be honest with ourselves and say that Cancelo is a left back now. And I thought we might sign a right back, not a left back, because of that nature. It's a fact, Martin. Cancelo sees himself as a left back, and Pep sees him as a left back. So
all right, I'll have you a friendly bet now. I bet Walker and Cancelo share right back, because how old's Walker now?
That might well happen.
How old's Walker now?
Walker's 31, 32.
31, 32. He's probably going to get more injuries as he gets older. Who will be the replacement to go into right back?
We will see. I think Walker will play. I don't know. I think we'll sign a right back. I think we'll sign a Walker replacement, to be honest, because I think Walker's role at City isn't so much he's the right or left back. It's the fact that he is a pacey defender who forms a back three whilst Cancelo goes up, and that works as a tactical combination. I think we will have problems if we sign, for example, Cucurella and we play Cancelo, not Walker. I think we will start to have problems. I think Walker is absolutely key, and we are either going to have to convert one of our centre backs to play in a Walker role at right back, which is why I think we might actually see John Stones a bit more at right back this season, or we're going to have to sign a new player, because I don't think that it worked when we played, when we didn't play Walker, we played, for example, Cancelo and Zinchenko. It did not work anywhere near as effectively. And so we've got to get a Walker replacement, or we've got to get Stones playing right back and forming that back three, because it's key.
Unless we go to agree with any of us. He says I'm waffling, and then he says further down, "You're so wrong, Rich."
Well, he's welcome to think that.
We're all wrong.
But I think that's the way. That's the way we play. We play a fullback who goes into midfield, and Cucurella will open it up. Interestingly, if we say that, because that might point towards a back three, and him playing much more like a wing back and getting wide and putting in crosses.
We'll come into that in a minute. We're going to come into the formation bit in a minute. Which I get what you're saying. You're probably saying Cancelo. I just think Cancelo, especially with listen, we complained about a small squad last year. With all intents and purposes, we now have a smaller squad. So what you now have to why?
We had 19.
Well, we have, Rich, because from December.
We had 19 players.
Go on, because I did all the watch-alongs, and I put it out every game.
Assuming
every bench from December, we had Sterling on the bench, Gabby on the bench, Zinchenko on the bench, and a load of kids. Nearly all that bench is gone.
Yeah, so we swap one group of kids for another group of kids. That's not weakened squad. We'll have 19 senior professionals going into this season, and we had 19 senior professionals, for the
You know how
since
many
January.
players
So
we used last year? How many players do you think we used last year at any point in the season? From the
at
start
any point in the
to finish?
season, probably 35 or something, because we played 18
26.
different players against Wickham.
26. No, don't. So there was about 25, 26.
Yeah, but we
At
used
the
about
moment,
18 players.
With that's left and the ones who've come in, we're about 19, 20. We're about 4 or 5 short from last season. So actually, it's a smaller squad.
Yeah. But Martin,
Martin,
that's because you're saying Egan Riley's a weakening of the squad. He's not a weakening of the squad. He played 1.5 games, and to make a headline by saying that we're weaker because we've replaced Egan Riley with Mbete, or we've replaced Edozie with Keiki, it's just not. That's not real. The core squad is going to be 19 when we sign Cucurella, which is what it was last season. So the only question about whether our squad is stronger or weaker is whether we think Haaland's better than Sterling, whether we think Cucurella's better than Zinchenko, whether we think Phillips is better than Fernandinho, whether we think Ortega's better than Stefan. Because ultimately, we'll go into the season having swapped 5 players for 5 players, and the kids will come through. They might be slightly different kids. They might be better this next run of them. They might not be, but it actually won't make much difference because they barely played. So are the 5 in stronger than the 5 outs? If they are, then we're stronger next season. Other than the fact we've got to bet in players and they take a year, and if we have 5 of our 19 new, that could give us a bit of problem at the beginning of the season.
Okay, I think we've established that. Can I just ask you guys a question? Are we expecting any more outs? Because there is one out I'd like to discuss, who's a possibility still because the rumour mill keeps on going. Martin, we can't hear you, but just remember your mic's off. So the player I was going to bring up is Bernardo Silva, because again he keeps getting linked with Barcelona. We keep hearing this rumour; it keeps going on and on. Are we concerned that we're going to lose Bernardo this summer?
No, because no one can afford him.
No, because homeless people sitting outside Michelin-starred restaurants looking in, saying, "I want that meal," don't usually get the meal. And Barca, if Barca muck around and try and sign a player like Bernardo, they're probably going to go into administration, and their directors are going to be inside. They are an absolute mess. They have not registered Christensen yet properly to play in the Spanish league from a freebie that they agreed in April. They haven't registered Rafinha. They haven't registered Lewandowski. They are an absolute mess. And Laporta is risking their entire future. They have mortgaged 30% of their future TV money to get cash now. And instead of paying off all their debts, they're buying players that they can't afford. And they have a bad season. They don't get in the Champions League this season. Barca will be in administration. Those players will be going for free. And one of the biggest clubs in world football will have to be sold from its members to a private owner, probably from the Middle East, because that is the only way the club will get saved. And I think, yeah, they're a mess. But and Bernardo would be absolutely off his head to go there. They're a club who cannot sell De Jong to United because they have kept back 17 million of De Jong's wages to try and save the club. And now they say they don't want to give it to him. They want United to give it to him. I mean, that's disgusting behaviour. And how will it look when Rafinha and Lewandowski come on their big contracts? All these players who are on 70 grand because they've foregone contracts to stay at Barca, or they've put off their increased contracts into later years. How is that going to be within the club? It's just, they are just an absolute bloody mess.
The thing is, though, Rich, they are getting the money because they're selling They've sold
Yeah,
25% of them. But they have got it, Rich. They have got it.
They've got
they're
the
doing
cash.
deals
They've
of
got the
selling
cash.
25 years worth of TV rights.
Yeah,
And they're being
but
allowed to do
every
it.
future, but it's basically it's like me wanting to buy a bigger house and selling off 30% of my future wages in return to get a bigger house, and then in 18 months' time, when suddenly my wages have gone down by 30%, but my mortgage has gone up by 30%, I'm screwed. And Barca are doing that, and
They're being allowed to.
Yeah, and they're an institution in football, and it's absolutely
Rich,
disgusting that is allowed to happen.
Go back to the UEFA rules. These new UEFA
no,
rules that
it's
come in a
disgusting.
year or two don't include debt.
Yeah, but it's disgusting that is allowed.
Of course it is.
Done with
But
an
it's to
institution.
protect. It is to protect the G40, the old G14 groups that are out there. Look at Daniel Levy, who was one of the biggest advocates of this UEFA rule. Oh, but his club's what, 850 million in debt? Yeah. It's no coincidence.
But that's a different. That's to be fair to Spurs. That is a very different. At least Spurs' debt is in an asset which makes a fortune for them. Barcelona's debt is in nothing.
Can we steer back onto Bernardo Silva, because we're slightly losing focus of what the actual question was. Okay, so
if we spam in the chat, you'll be going in times out. Just to let you know, please not spamming in the chat. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I mean, so with Bernardo Silva, we understand obviously that it really factors. The key factor for Barcelona is right now is they've got to get rid of Frankie de Jong. You know, because they need to get rid of his wages. They need to get rid of, because he's on such a high wage right now. And because they still owe him, like you said, Rich, they still owe him like 17 million euros in back payments. So obviously, United still want him. He has made it very public that he does not want to go there. He doesn't want to go to United. He doesn't believe in the project. Yes, he's got connections with the former manager, but he has said quite publicly that he doesn't want to go. And I think if he has to leave, which is, we know usually when clubs want you gone, you usually go. But it more looks like he could go to Chelsea, because at least then he plays Champions League football, which United have currently not got. So with all that, if he does go, and we know again, Barcelona have got the money. Now, Bernardo Silva has come out and said that at the moment he is happy. He's not going to make any comments against leaving. But if a fee comes in, are we worried he may turn around and go, well, you've got a good fee for me. Will he go?
Well, City's policy seems to be that if the right price comes in, we let a player go. I do not believe
always said that.
Yeah, I don't believe that Barcelona can get the money, and any business person dealing with Barcelona would want cash up front. There's no way you'd accept a staggered payment now, because you're probably not going to get your money back. So I don't think it will happen, because
the thing is, though,
I am actually a little bit annoyed with Bernardo, because all of this noise from Barcelona and from George Mendes, he could shut down in a second, and he is being a bit duplicitous with City. He is pretending, I'm not going to say a word. I'm great with the fans. I'm not going to say a word against City. I'm not going to make a fuss. I'm such a good guy. But he is letting his agent and letting Barcelona say all of this every day in the press, that he could shut down in 1 second. So I must admit, Bernardo, to me, has gone down a bit in my estimation this summer, because not as a footballer, because he's still an exceptional footballer, but Bernardo as a man is allowing it to happen. And I don't think that is fair to City, and I don't think it's fair to the fans with the way he's been treated. So I would like him to step up and actually come out and say, be man enough to say, I want to go publicly and, go.
Did he kind of do that
yesterday? To say, I want to stay, and I'm firmly staying, because it can't go on every day in the press.
Yeah, and I know where you're coming from, Rich, but at the same time, I think maybe he does have that kind of, I think his comments yesterday, you could lean to say, I have respect for City. I'm not going to come out and say I want to leave, even though privately, I think he possibly does.
But why doesn't he ask his agent to shut up then?
Because that's what
his agent.
We know what agents are like, Rick. we know.
But
I
the
know.
player
Rich.
can stop that. The player can stop that.
But we know what agents are like, Rich. We know they try and get the best deal they can for their player that they've got.
Yeah.
And we know that, with the way agents, because they're going to soon not earn as much as they are going to, because new changes coming in. They're going to push for it. They're going to push for their players, their best players, to move on. And I think City don't want to lose Bernardo Silva. I think right now he's such a key player, and we all know he is. And to replace it
absolutely
at this short notice would be very much a struggle.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think if he went, we would have to go and pay the 130 million that Dortmund want for Bellingham. I don't think there's anyone else in our plans. I think Bellingham's our plan for next summer, but I think if Bernardo went, he would have to come
with the ins.
I thought. I mean, the only thing I ever thought could happen would be a De Jong for Bernardo.
To be honest, I think what will happen with Bernardo will be, I think Bernardo stays one more year. That's another year off his contract, and I think he'll probably go next summer with probably around about 60, 70 million fee, roughly. Because I think City will probably see that as a fairer deal. Because right now they're not going to get 120 or whatever, over 100 for him right now from anyone. They know that. It looks like Barcelona's his preferred destination. So it'll probably be, because look at his interview yesterday. As long as I'm here, I will give you all. I have no issue with Bernardo at the moment because he will give his all. He will not down tools. He'll give you 1,000% on that football pitch till the day he leaves. He's not a player that will down tools, forget it, I want out and sulk in the corner. So I don't think. Can I just say in the chat, can we please have a little bit more respect for people's opinions, please? If we're going to go into childish name calling, attacking each other, that's not what we want. So let's please play nice. We don't want to be sticking people in times out. Ozzy and Rich are giving up their time to come and give their wonderful views. So please give them the respect of listening to them, please, ladies and gents. Thank you. Right, let's move on some ins. Calvin Phillips, Stefan Ortega. Obviously, we know the big one. Haaland. Julian Alvarez is in and played yesterday. There's one more, isn't there?
See, Martin.
Phillips.
Martin, you can go full on Julian Alvarez.
Julian Alvarez on this one.
So, you always wanted to have Jesus when it was Jesus, but now it is Julian. So you can go Julian Alvarez.
Julian, I can have that one. Julian Alvarez.
Yeah. I would do it though.
Yeah, and obviously there are the rumours of Cucurella. Are we all happy with the transfer business? Obviously, Haaland was done early, and it was amazing. Finally, to get a world-renowned striker in, which is world-class, probably up there with Mbappe as the two most sought-after footballers, probably in world football. And he's chosen Manchester City. He has chosen Manchester City. This is not Real Madrid and all these didn't give me. He had his choice of Europe. And if anyone went to that Manchester City day where the players got unveiled, he was like a kid in a sweet shop. You couldn't get the smile off his face. He loved it. There's further photos come out of him as a kid, growing up in City shirts and everything else. This guy's home. You can just see it in him. He looks so... tonight there's a video come out of him doing his initiation speech. And they're all singing how he looks so happy. And I, for one, I know people were disappointed he didn't get on the pitch last night, but they're teasing you. Wait for the buying game. We still got to see Alvarez and Ortega, but the ins can't complain about. Calvin Phillips, wonderful. I won't say backup because I won't disrespect, but a wonderful chance to give Rodri pressure. Ortega, some of his balls last night and distribution were just magnifico. They were amazing, especially that one with the outside of the foot. And he looked a little bit nervy when he did it, like, oh, crap, don't know what I'm doing here, but I'll have a go at it. And then he all settled down. Yes, I know there was a little bit of dodginess on the goal, but, it's his first game. We'll give him that one. New back line, still not communicated with him. Calvin Phillips, Haaland, Alvarez looked exciting. That no-look pass to Grealish. And then Cucurella, a natural left-back, could be coming in. Hello.
I mean, with the ins, I mean, with Alvarez coming in, I've been really quite excited with this signing. Since January when we bought him, I was having a look at him, some of the games that he was playing still, because I mean he was playing up until only last month, for River Plate, and he is an amazing talent. I mean, I hope he can replicate it in the Premier League and in Champions League games as well. He can play anywhere on that forward three, so I think it's going to be. I think he is just one of these players where we haven't really seen the best of him in a City shirt. And I think he's going to, when we see more. I mean, last night's his link-up play was brilliant. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. Haaland is brilliant, yeah, of course, but Alvarez, I think, could be the sneaking, signing of the summer, really. Like, for him coming in, I'm expecting big things.
For who? Sorry, was that Alvarez?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you not putting too much pressure on a kid?
He's 22 years old. So
never played in England, never played in Europe, don't speak a word of the Queen's.
And what talent is there, Mike? Talent is there. He has got an eye for a goal.
Let the guy settle in.
I'm not going hyper-maniac.
Martin, being excited about the player.
Signing of the season.
No, I said it could be the undercard signing of the season. Do you know what I mean? Because he's been underrated in coming in, as in like with the rumours that he was just going to go back out on loan somewhere. Was he going to go off to one of the City football groups? And actually, no, he's come in and he's staying. And for me, that shows that Pep wants to keep him because he knows the talent of this kid.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I think he looks phenomenal, but it's all this. He's Aguero. He's Tevez. Let him just be Alvarez.
Well, he said that himself.
Definitely.
He said that on the unveiling, didn't he? On the stage, he said, yes, I've spoken to Aguero. Yes, I've spoken to Tevez, but I'm here for my own story. Do you know what I mean? And I thought that coming from a 22-year-old kid to say that, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, he's got an old head on his shoulders, but he's got all the. I mean, just looking at him, he'll take time to settle in. Every player takes time to settle in at City, but he's got the things. He's got that hard. You can see he's going to work hard.
Look, what
you
Patrick
can see.
Yeah, the exact same thing you said about Gabby.
Yeah, but Gabby did brilliant.
Gabby hit the ground running and knocked Aguero out the side in the third until Aguero got himself back together. So, if he kicks the ground like Gabby did, we might have Haaland in a bit of a strop that he's not playing. But, I must admit, the main thing I've noticed all summer is just what an absolute...
Is this the striker who would bench for a false...
What an absolute beast Haaland is. I mean, it is... When you watch him walking, alongside his teammates, jumping for the ball, running for the ball, he is an absolute beast. I think he's grown. I don't think he stopped growing yet because I think he's taller than he was last season. But he's just going to be an absolute beast. He just looks like some kind of Rocky IV, Dolph Lundgren, Russian, kind of god or something. Not like the rest of the players. So, and his personalities for a 22-year-old. I've never seen a player who is A, more honest and B, more confident than Haaland is. It is crazy. So I can't wait to see him. Making Harry Maguire look like a dwarf and then knocking him aside and getting his hat trick against United.
Sorry, I'm going to have to put Blue Floyd in a timeout because, sorry, is it Blue Floyd? Is it Andy? I don't know what you want to call it at the moment. But he's kind of boring me now, so, yeah. Play nice or you go in timeout. Go on. I've done that now.
So I think Haaland's exciting. I think the one that's I think a really good value and smart signing and probably underrated under the radars, Calvin Phillips. I think I'm surprised we got him as cheaply as we did. I mean,
Did you see Leeds fans?
Player,
meltdown.
Yeah, because it surprises me. Why did they not push for 60 million? David Moyes came out and said they actually offered more than City did for him in January, considerably more. And so I'm a bit bemused at how we got such a good deal. And I actually think he'll be. I'm pretty excited about that because I think that Rodri role is one of the hardest roles in football. I think playing that role for Pep it's so important. It's so hard, and there's so few players who could do it. But he has actually done that for Bielsa, and so and he's played that role for Leeds. Very different team, not the same ability around him, but I'm quite hopeful that will actually mean that he'll hit the ground running in 3 or 6 months, rather than I think it would take most players about 18 months to come in and try and play like Rodri. So I'm excited, and I think he's a bargain. England's Player of the Year, played in mainstay of England getting to the Euros final, and he's gone for 40 million, and you get journeyman for 40 million nowadays.
I think Corey's got some breaking news. I'll just get that up. Where is it? It says Leipzig are in advanced talks for is it Ram? So that's one option gone. I don't think it's an option gone because I think Cucurella will come. I think they'll settle around 45 with an add-on or 40 with an add-on. They'll get to 50. It just might not be 50 in total. That makes sense.
Well, if we're going to quickly touch upon Cucurella, there are reports coming out now tonight that actually he's quite angry with Brighton. He's actually come out and said to them that he wants to go, and he wants Brighton to come to a deal with City. Well,
I mean, who wouldn't? You're a Catalonian fullback, and you've got your chance to play for Pep at City. It's obviously he's going to want to go. I just think I think City are being a bit rude to Brighton offering 30. I mean, we've known all summer he's going to be in the 40s, so I think it's a bit of shithousery. Or maybe we offered 30 million plus somebody, and that's been missed in translation. Player I'm interested in, and I think Brighton should go for him and I'm surprised we haven't taken him to the US. Back in the AFCON, Issa Kabore, who was one of the best players in the AFCON, right back. Looks like he's got all the attacking stuff in a footballer. He looked great. He was getting to the byline. He was putting in crosses, and he's a City player. But he didn't go, even with the kids going to the US. He hasn't gone. So
I think City were willing to sell, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but why wouldn't Brighton? If I was Brighton, or maybe because he's right back, he couldn't play left back or something, and they've already got Lamptey. But he's a good player. From what I admittedly only watching a bit in AFCON, I haven't watched him playing in the French league, but he's very highly rated. And
Didn't he get AFCON player of the tournament? Or did I
got
miss
the young player?
Got that wrong?
Young player.
Was it young player? Yeah, and I mean, apparently didn't Forest offer like 17 million? Something, and we turned that down. I mean, speaking of Forest, apparently they've signed Jesse Lingard today on like 200 grand a week, which is like, whoa, you're not messing around. He's turned down West Ham and pissed off to Notts Forest, which is like, wow. Yeah. Okay, that kind of came out of nowhere. Bit of breaking news tonight. Wow. Thought it just shocked me. I thought that was like a joke when I first saw that. And then I saw his own Twitter page doing it. I'm like, wow. Howard, Pep said he's had a niggle. The good old niggle that Pep likes to throw out. Everyone has a niggle every now and again for Pep. Niggle City. not Little City, Niggle City. Is anyone concerned considering we've had, he's injury prone, you won't get more than 20 games out of him, blah, blah, blah. First weekend and he's got a niggle. Any concerns, or is that just, it's an old injury come from Dortmund and they're just wrapping him in cotton wool?
Well, not only that, mind, but he played, in the for his national side before he came, didn't he? So, and he was banging in goals then. So,
yeah,
I really, I know there's this injury prone stuff that keeps going around. It's more likely that City just want to keep him, like you said, wrapped up in cotton wool, and he'll probably play some part of the game against Bayern. I don't think he'll play the full game, if I'm honest. I think, he'll play half of the game, whether he'll start or whether he'll come on for the second half. We'll see. But I don't have any worries. I just think they don't want to take any risks. Do you know what I mean? They want to bring him in fresh for the Premier League season, ready to go.
Yeah.
So
I think, there may also be, he made a comment that he had grown he had a medical back in March or April after his injury, and then his medical when he signed for City in June. And he made a comment that he'd actually grown in that time. So if he is still growing a little bit, then he will be more injury prone, and he just has to be looked after, because it's not dissimilar to what happened with Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer's injuries were, rather than a traditional muscular injury, were related to the fact he's still growing and filling out and everything else. So I think we'll be careful with Haaland. I think that's the one thing City can do that most clubs can't do, and that is that we have better managed injuries. I mean, for years we watched Liverpool ruining striker after striker by, overplaying them or bringing them back from injury too fast. And we've seen clubs do that, who aren't that strong. I think City are generally pretty good at that. The one exception, and this is, down to needs, is that Laporte is still injured from last season. And that is because we had to play Laporte in the last 3 games when he was injured.
That's what worries me, Rich, on squad depth. We literally crawled over that line. That's why I put last season's achievement so high, because the last 5-10 games, we were dragging ourselves over lines. Literally, by hook or by crook, we were getting there against probably Liverpool's most strongest squad and most in-depth squad in a long time.
Yeah, but again, going back onto Richard's point, we're not like Spurs with Harry Kane. I mean, look what they've done to Harry Kane. He probably could play for another good few years if he hadn't had all the injuries that he's got. Do you know what I mean? They literally, as soon as he was slightly fit, he was back on the field because they had no choice. We don't have that problem.
And to be honest, at the end of last season, the injury crisis was at centre-back. We've got 4 top-class centre-backs. There's no way you can have 5. I'm amazed, in a way, Ake stayed playing as little football as he did. But, he's chosen that. I don't think we can have any more centre-backs. I think that's just one of those things where you get really lucky. A few years ago,
Again, there are rumours again that the Villarreal centre-back, I forgot his name now.
Pau Torres.
Pau Torres, again, apparently City are in talks to acquire him this summer.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I think that was if Ake went. I think if Ake went, he'd come. I'm not sure. I much prefer Koundé than him, because from when I've watched Pau Torres, they defend quite deep, and he's an accomplished defender.
I don't think
I don't know what he'd be like on the halfway line.
I don't think we're going to get anyone like that. I think if Ake had gone, I could have seen them either going somewhere like a Brighton and getting a 29-year-old or somewhere like. I don't think they'd have ever gone and got a big centre back, because what do you say to them? Oh, come in and play 4th choice. They know the 4th choice off the bat, so they're not. You're never going to get a De Ligt or a Koundé or a Pau Torres to lead guaranteed first team football to come and play fourth choice at Manchester City. I just don't think that was ever going to be on the. I think if Aki had gone, it'd have been a youngster or a Demichelis sort of situation that I think they'd have brought in. And I think that's why City are being a bit clever this year. Why I've said it on Spaces, so why they're shopping at Leeds, why they're shopping at Brighton. They're not going to the top teams to compete for their players. It's like Calvin Phillips the other day said, I know I've got to fight. I'm happy to fight. He's bringing in players that are happy to play 20, 25 games and fight for a place. If you go and get a Hernandez or an Andy Robertson, for example, I'm not saying it would have been Andy Robertson, but an Andy Robertson, he's going, I want 50 games. Well, they're going, no, don't think so. I think they've been a little bit smart in a way, the way we've gone shopping this year and where we've gone shopping. I think it's been a bit smart from them because they've gone and got players who it's an upgrade from their club to Manchester City and they're happy to sacrifice 10 or 15 games to come and play at City and learn off Pep. I think it's very smart.
You get medals for your collection, and that's the thing. Zinchenko and Jesus are at Arsenal. They've got 4 Premier League winners' medals in their cabinet. So they've, a lot of players go their whole career and they never get the chance. To play for Liverpool, they might get one every 30 years, and players don't get that chance. So Zinchenko and Jesus, they go to Arsenal now to go after first team football and play every week, but they've got those medals. They want more, I'm sure, but they've got those medals. When they get to the end of their career, they can look back and they can, go through the medal collection and show the kids, show the grandkids. And, and players like Phillips, Cucurella, etc., coming to City, ultimately, if they play 30 games and they play 25 games and they play 30 games, if they win titles, then they're going to be happy. Jack Grealish has talked about, he didn't play every game, didn't have the best season he could have done last year, but that Premier League medal meant the absolute world to him. And that's the reality. So they come in, and if they do really well and they don't get in the first team, then maybe in 2 or 3 years they'll be like, we want to move on. I want to play 40 games. I want to play 50 games. But for a few years, they will learn, they will win trophies, and they'll be, happy to be doing it.
Yeah. Can I just, before we move on, because if you are, thank you all for joining us, nearly 50 on. Can you possibly give it a thumbs up for the lads, especially Rich? The poor man's got up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. to come and give you his amazing points of view. If you want to give him a lovely thumbs up. Ozzy there's been working away hard.
I did the night shift this morning, so yeah. I'm just
how many you? And if you don't mind subscribing to the channel, that'd be amazing. That's the way. We won't ever ask you for a penny. We're not asking for money. We're just asking you just to come and subscribe to the channel, help the community grow, and that'd be amazing here at the Mancunian way. Where should we go next? And all right, formation.
Well,
you mentioned. Go on, Rails.
I was just going to say one more cheeky kind of in. Just because it was so funny when it came out in the press.
Don't say Neymar. Pep's already got rid of that rumor.
I know, but I even before Pep came out, I was just like, dear God, no. I don't want Neymar anywhere near my club.
It was never.
Of course, it was never happening. Do you know what I mean? Because it was just never going to happen. But it just amazes me that he has gone from one of the best players in the world, when he was at Barcelona, playing, with Suarez and Messi, then to going to PSG and it's never worked, and then now PSG going, oh, we kind of want rid of you because you're shit. And I'm not saying he's a shit player. We know he's got amazing talent, but I just think his fall from grace has just been one of those stories where there'll be some sort of documentary on it because it's just sad.
I must admit,
and they can't. I was quite worried.
I was quite worried about that actually because I know everyone was like, "Oh, it never happened," but if you've got a player that is about to play in a World Cup in the Gulf and is Puma's main player, then I don't know. Pep may not be remotely interested, and the squad may not be. But I tell you what, I guarantee you that our owners back in the UAE would have taken Neymar if they could.
Never ever were going to pay him them wages.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
Chance.
Yeah, I'm not saying they'd pay him the wages, but I'm saying if they...
The UAE and where the World Cup's based this year are two different countries, and they don't like each other.
We're not united.
They don't, exactly. And that's why... And that is why, if they had the chance to have the star player at the Qatar World Cup taken out of PSG, our owners would have done it. I've got no doubt.
No,
I'm not saying Pep wants him. I don't like him. I don't like him. I've never seen him have a good game. But I was worried because I actually think that there's a Puma want the deal and our owners want the deal. And like it or not, Brazil are big favourites for the World Cup. No European teams ever went outside Europe. And it's going to suit a team like Brazil. So there is every chance in November, December that Brazil win that World Cup with Neymar, their top goal scorer. So marketing-wise and profile-wise, it would be... No, these are facts.
What?
I don't like Neymar.
I don't think Brazil have won the World Cup. Neymar's top goal scorer.
Right, no.
You got a time machine.
No, Martin. I didn't say Brazil. I said they're big favourites for the World Cup, and they are favourites. You go into every single betting place, Brazil are favourites. No club, apart from Spain, from Europe, has won a World Cup.
He's been in the bookies now. We know what he's been doing for 2 months.
I don't like him, but I think the reality is you're kidding yourselves if you think our owners would not have jumped at the chance.
Because we're not Instagram. We're not United down the road who look at Instagram followers and go, "Oh, he's got 4 million. Let's buy him."
Yeah,
we don't do that.
I think if
you're being a bit naive.
If they got Ten Hag in, I guarantee you it'd have gone to United this summer.
Yeah, because he's the kind of signing United make. Oh, he's got 5 million on Instagram. Let's sign him up. But will he help the team? Don't care.
Martin, don't be naive about City. We're the kind of team who send out a production team of 20 to film our pre-season tour and have comedians waiting on doors so we can put out 3-minute things on Instagram of our players.
Yeah, and totally everything else.
So, yeah, but that's the point. Our owners, if they could get Neymar for the World Cup, they'd do it. But it's not happening. No fans want
him. It's a bit of a joke, Rich, and it's starting to go a bit weird now with everything you come out with.
Let's sort of move on. I'm moving on from this. I blame you up there with bringing up the bloody Neymar agenda. You got him going. Yeah. Do you not read WhatsApp? Right, listen. With the players we brought in, formation. Do we see any formation changes possibly happening? 3 at the back. Will Pep finally get his dream of what he's wanted for 5 or 6 years, a 3 at the back, or are we going? I don't want
to. As Rich said, though, we've kind of had that with Cancelo kind of going up, pushing further forward, or Walker pushing up further forward. So we've had the kind of, we do kind of have sometimes 3 at the back, but if you're on about will it literally be 3 at the back? No, I don't see it. I still think it'll be 4-3-3.
I think we might see a bit of 3 at the back. I think it'll be flexible because I think in the main we will play 3 out-and-out defenders, and that will be Walker and 2 centre-backs. I think it might sometimes be Stones at right back and 2 centre-backs. I think we'll see that 3, and then we'll see 1 full-back pushing up. But I think what Cucurella points to, and he will offer us, is the chance to play a proper 3 at the back and have wing-backs. So we might see that. Because
Charlie reason said it's never been 3 at the back. I disagree with that. I think he has wanted to play 3 at the back before. I do. Go back to the Lyon game. I think we've
played. I think you go and watch the Centurion season, and through most of that season, until about February or March when Zinchenko came in, Fabian Delph played as a defensive midfielder but was a left back. And every game we started with 4. Fabian Delph immediately moved into midfield for about 80% of the game, and we played with 3 at the back. Last season, the same. Amount of games Cancelo moved up into midfield and we played three at the back with Walker and the other two. And sometimes, to be honest, we just played two in the back because Walker bombed up a bit and used his pace to get back. So I think whether it's officially three at the back or whether it's officially five at the back or officially four at the back, I don't think it'll matter too much because I don't think managers will know when Pep names the side exactly what we're going to do. But I think we'll often have three at the back. But whether it's an official formation or just the way the game's going, I don't know.
Well, Wilson Rain's gone 4-3-3.
Well, that's what we've always officially played. But I do think it's often been like 3-2-5 or, when we're on top. When we're on top, it's almost
he
like
thinks Pep's going to innovate again. And he's going to do a dynamic switching formation.
Yeah, that's what he tries to do, and I think that's probably about right. I think Muddy Duck's got it. We need a better name than dynamic switching formation, though.
As long as we don't ever do double pivot and all that crap ever again. Ozzy, formations. Are you expecting? Now we've got a striker. Now we've got out and out hungry man in the middle. Do you think it's just going to be a straight Haaland in the middle, two wingers, and KDB possibly as a 10 behind?
It could be that simple. It really could be. I think, as Rich was saying, that I think with our team, it's so that fluidity that we have, and we know that we can play with that false nine if we have to. I just think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens because with Haaland up front, you're going to have two central defenders trying to mark him, but that's just going to leave them exposed to, whoever plays out on the wings. And again, KDB, who, last night was sensational. I think he's gone up a gear. For just a pre-friendly, I was absolutely in awe with him. And I just thought he could be that 10 that you were saying that could just be playing just behind Haaland and could be just, working off each other. Him and Haaland, and I just think it could be so beautiful to watch and so amazing.
And I think the space that I think a few of the other players are going to see a bit more space now as well. I think Foden, I'm glad to see him out of false nine in a way because I think in many ways it suppressed his natural ability to run at players and to cut inside and to get a bit of space. So I think Foden will have a lot more freedom now Haaland's in. I think we'll see much the same from Mahrez. We already do. I think, Grealish, I think, will benefit massively if we do sign Cucurella because I think Grealish wasn't suited to hugging the left touchline as he did at times last season. I think that really didn't suit him. And if Cucurella comes in and when Cucurella's playing, he will go down that flank and he will put crosses in. And so I think there's some excitement for some of the other players that Haaland will free them up a bit. But I suspect we'll see much the same as we have in many ways. It'll be pretty much a 5-man attack, except instead of it being 5 fluid players, it'll be 4 fluid players and Haaland will be a bit less fluid and a bit more dominant in the middle. And who those 4 players are, I think will change. And I actually wouldn't be massively surprised if occasionally we do see the double pivot, Martin, because I think against Real Madrid in the second half at the Bernabeu, that's what we needed. We didn't even, we have, when we want to close out games in Europe, I think being able to have Phillips alongside Rodri would be immense for the team. And so we may not like it, and we're not going to need it in the Premier League. We're not going to need it often. But that's the reality. Why would you? When you've won a game, why would you not close it down?
Well, Rich, could we see a 4-4-2 come back?
This is what Henry Hayes just said.
Yeah, could we see Haaland and Alvarez up front? And have Rodri and Calvin Phillips in a 4 with 2 wingers. Could we see that?
It's possibly. We could. I think we'll see everything at some point in a game because I think, Pep will do that. I don't think we'll go to a traditional 4-4-2 like, Ferguson used to play. I don't think that'll happen, but I think we'll see 2-5-3s and 4-5-1s and 4-3-3s and 4-1-5s. I think it'll all happen during the season because of whatever that term was, a fluid dynamic formation. Or I might have got that wrong.
Alongside a double pivot.
Well, why?
I think you need to coin that phrase,
Martin,
mate.
Yeah, at the Bernabeu when we had that.
The what?
Run,
the Bernabeu. I was done
Bernabeu.
so.
Yeah, but in that game, when we had that game won, why wouldn't you want a double pivot sitting in there and stopping them doing anything and close the game out? Why wouldn't we want that as an option? Because it's not like either Rodri or Phillips a bit more than Rodri, but Rodri's not an out and out central defensive midfielder. He's like an attacking quarterback central defensive midfielder. So, he's not a Makalele. He just is there just to defend. He's far more offensive. So why wouldn't we want the ability to shut down a game if we wanted to do it?
Yeah, I get it. I know what you're saying. You're saying let's be a little bit more pragmatic, switched on, use our heads a little bit here, because we're labelled that we were too gung-ho against Madrid in that last 10, where we got the goal and we were still going and trying to, and you're probably thinking, let's be a bit pragmatic and shut the shop up, and which we have seen at the Swamp. We've seen it at the Swamp when they're like 2-1 up and Bernardo takes the ball to the corner for 10 minutes. But we have seen him do that. So probably, I do understand what you're saying. I don't mind it for 5 or 10 minutes to close a game. I don't want to see us doing it for the off.
But I think you've been tarnished by Gareth Southgate because double pivot is a dirty word in England because of the.
Don't know. You've been in the comments as dirty word at the minute. Get out of it.
Yeah. It's a very defensive and dull and just dreadful formation when England do it. But I'm not sure that if Pep did a double pivot, it would be quite the same. I think one of the pivots would be pivoting up the pitch a bit further, and it would be quite different.
We know Phillips can do that as well, like push further forward.
Well, let's sort of move on to yesterday. The wee hours of 3 a.m., 2 a.m., whenever it was. I don't know. The kickoff time changed about 3,000 times before anyone knew. Well, City stuck out 3 different tweets. The match is about to start. No, it's not. The match is about. No, it's not. Stop putting tweets out. That's the trouble. They've got everyone over in Texas, but no one's keeping an eye on the administration of the tweets and what's going on, because yesterday was a bit of a poor showing from the City admin, really. But going back to when they unveiled the players, that wasn't the best thought out anyway. City 2, Club America 1. Now, there was 2 new signings. Ortega made his debut. Well, there was 3 debuts, actually, at the beginning. There was Julian Alvarez, and there was the absolute lovely, gorgeous, back to the old style black and white, black and red away kit that made its debut as well. What did we think?
Well, going back to what I said about the game with KDB, I mean, he was just on top form, like I said before. I mean, I just think he went up another level and was just fantastic to watch. I mean, I was quite surprised with Club America. I wasn't expecting them to kind of come out and go full throttle. I mean, they've already started their season.
Yeah, they've played 3 competitive games already, so they've
played Chelsea, and they've got apparently a crucial game.
They've played league matches already.
Yeah,
they've played league matches already, so they're fit and ready and up and running. So that was a hard ask.
I was just surprised with their intensity, if I'm honest, though, Rich. I mean, there was some really kind of cracking fouls from them. And they were going for it. They really wanted to kind of push City to the limits, didn't they? I just was a bit like, not the game I was expecting. You know, I was just expecting, you know, a nice little friendly, and it turned out to be a brilliant game to watch. You know,
Can we put a bit of
Yeah.
respect on Jack Grealish's name now?
Yeah,
Because
I
that
tell you
man
what,
was immense yesterday. He was a man
Club
possessed.
America. Yeah, Club America certainly put some respect with their studs on him a few times.
I'm sorry, I was sat there thinking, is this a friendly? Have I missed something here? Is this for a 3 points or a Champions? They were kicking crap out of us at one stage. I'm like, what's going on?
yeah.
I think
no.
someone went up and went, it's a friendly.
Yeah, it's
And
probably good
like,
though. As long as you don't get an injury, that's a good thing. You know,
how did Grealish come off without one?
Well, he picked a bit of a fight, didn't he, towards the end with the
I
goalkeeper?
think I would have done.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, I don't know if anyone's actually seen the video of what actually happened, because towards the end, I mean, the goalkeeper had just said, like, you've gone over my feet or something like that, and he was waving his finger in his face, and then Jack Grealish just pushed him. And I was a bit like, was there any really need to lay your hands on him? I mean, I don't know what was said, but again, doesn't matter what someone says. He didn't touch Jack Grealish, and I just thought he pushed him quite heavily. And then, of course, you know, that's when we saw from the footage all the players come around Jack Grealish, and I was a bit like, really and truly, I didn't think there was any need for Jack Grealish to be doing that. So that was my only concern, that Jack needs to kind of really, I mean, we had a lot of criticisms last season with him, you know, and I think the majority of us were saying he needs time. But his mentality has got to be better than that. Because if that wasn't a friendly, he could have been looking at a red. Especially VAR.
I know what you're saying, but let's be honest, the challenges that were going on him were reds. In a proper game.
Yeah.
So, of course, that's what he's probably annoyed at. He's like, hang on a minute, come out here for a bit of a friendly, and you're trying to snap me. I mean, if you look at one, I can't remember who it was, they're sort of going sideways, sort of no intention to play the ball. It was just to hurt him. And I think I'd be a bit peeved at that point of like, what are you doing?
You would, Martin. But I mean, the thing is, the last few years, and it's happened because of Euros and World Cups and everything else. I think we've gone into the season off some really dull, slow, no effort friendlies. So I think that, you know, maybe actually having a bit more intensity in these friendlies is going to be good for us, because at the end of the day, when we play at West Ham, it's going to be intense. They're going to be up for it. First game of the season at home, they're going to be up to it. We can't afford to play like we did it against Spurs in the first game last season, where we started, you know, half these players weren't even playing till the first game of the season. They didn't even have any warm-ups. So I'm actually kind of glad it was a bit more intense, a bit niggly, a bit hard, because we need it. We can't go into the season like we did last year.
I mean, for me to stand out, I mean, Kevin De Bruyne, I think the way Club America started the game, because I think if Club America hadn't have started the game in the way they had, because I think we're now a scalp, whether it's a friendly, an invitational, a cup final. We are just a scalp no matter what now at the moment. They just want to beat Manchester City. And I think it peed a lot of the players off yesterday with the tactics, because Kevin De Bruyne just thought, right, you want to play that game? Right, all right then. And they started knocking the ball around and they couldn't get anywhere near then. They went, and KDB just went, him and Grealish with the link-up play, they were just going. They were gone. And then I just thought it was great. I thought I was really impressed with Mahrez. Thought Mahrez is that ball to set up KDB's second goal. It's a good job I'd watched it, because I hadn't heard anything about it. I've just heard about KDB's finish. But look at the ball Mahrez plays in. It's absolute pinpoint. It is brilliant.
Yeah.
If that had been Julian Alvarez doing that, you wouldn't have heard the end of it for two hours of how brilliant it was. And that's not me digging out Alvarez, because I'm not. What I'm saying is there's certain players that just will not get credit no matter what they do, sadly. And I think Mahrez is going to be our number one right winger this year. We know that. He's signed a new contract. He looks happy. He wants to fight for his place. And yesterday, he looked up for it. There was a thought Rodri was great yesterday. He tied a little bit come the 60th minute. He started giving away, went back to a little bit of Rodri last season, giving away a couple of sloppy balls. Do you know who I wasn't impressed with yesterday? It was Cancelo. I thought he was reckless some of the time. There was two challenges. I thought, what's he doing?
Yeah. He improved into the game, but he started off poorly.
Yeah,
and I think Martin, and I think this is the great thing about having Phillips is that I think Rodri has always struggled to play as much football as he's had to at City with Fernandinho getting old, and I think he's a player who benefits from having to get a game or two off because he's a big lad, and I actually think that Rodri's form has dipped when he's been overplayed and he's knackered.
That's spot on from Chris Baker. Stayed up all night to watch Island Rock or Hudder. That's just it was because everyone sat there. There was Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans. Everyone had stayed up just to watch him, and he sat there next to Diaz, going, "Yeah, look at this new hoodie I've got. Yeah, I'm not coming on the pitch. Yeah, I'm not coming on." And you knew that when Delap was coming on, it was like, "Hang on a minute, Delap's coming on." And it was just it was nice to say. The only thing I was surprised at. We only made 3 subs at halftime. Obviously, Cole Palmer, Calvin Phillips, and Bark. I always forget this third one. Forgot the third one. It's gone out my head again. It'll come back to me. Anyway, Club America replies, Ortega. I thought he did very well, like I said. Wilson Ashburn, thank you, Patrick. If Edison had done that yesterday, would he have got away with that? Did Ortega get a pass because it was his first game?
Yeah, I have to say, I think some of the...
I'm not trying to be harsh on that.
Yeah. No, Martin, I think some of the nonsense about Edison is just...
Yeah.
He's mind-numbing. He's mind-numbing. I mean, Edison, he's not the best shot stopper in the world. He does maybe let in 2 or 3 goals in a season that another goalkeeper might not let in. But he also plays a part in the build-up for 130 goals that another goalkeeper wouldn't play a part in more than about 65 of them. So I think, we Edison, he's not the best shot stopper, traditional goalkeeper in the world, but his ability on the ball brings us 30, 40 goals a season at the price of losing 2 or 3 at the other end. And it just gobsmacks me that people think they can have a goalkeeper who can play the possession game and show the patience that Edison does in the City side and be a better shot stopper than Lev Yashin, because it's nonsense. And I've heard people calling for Ortega to get, to start the season. I mean, do we want Spurs or Liverpool to win the league? I don't. And why would we change the goalkeeper who as an all-round footballer has been by far the best goalkeeper in the Premier League since he got here? I mean, it's, nuts.
Well, he hasn't won the clean sheets record on most of the the end of the season.
Three seasons he's
got.
No,
that's because of the defence he was.
Well, yeah, and that was my next point. That last night he didn't, Ortega didn't have the regular back four that we were playing regularly, did he? So, I give him the benefit of the doubt. Do you know what I mean? He is the
I think
I said this last year. There's players that will get passes. You see it in the season. Unfortunately, you see some players, no matter how hard they try, will get no credit. And other players, they do one good thing in a game and, it's amazing. It's just, it's football fans, and that's the way we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the player I think he suffers from it the most is Laporte. Laporte risked his, he played he won us the league last year, playing badly injured for 3 games, You know, when everyone else had fallen around him, he stood up. He didn't complain. You know, no doubt with 25 injections in his knee, and he won us the league. And he deserves so much respect for that. I think he was head and shoulders the best centre back in the Premier League last year. All this, like, you know, he was absolutely spot on when he sent his sarcastic tweet about not getting in the Premier League 11, because he was head and shoulders the best centre back in the Premier League last season, and he doesn't get respect. Maybe it's because he's dour. He's not, you know, the most happy, smiling fellow. He doesn't even seem to smile when he scores. Maybe, you know, he's a bit of a, you know, pissed off the French by going to play for Spain. So he's obviously a bit of a niggly character. But, you know, the lack of respect he got for me was ridiculous. We owe him the Premier League title.
Jack Lee, Rich, says Edison can't save a Word document. Sorry, I got to keep everyone happy. He's mint. He can't save that great finish.
Well, the point is, he doesn't need to save Word documents because he's a footballer, not working in an office. And you know, he needs to keep possession and help us score goals and dominate games, dominate possession and get the ball to Laporte and Rodri. And he does that brilliantly. Yes, he lets in a few goals, but we gain so many goals out of Edison being in goal offensively, and we stop so many attacks against us by having the ball, where if we had, you know, David De Gea in goal or someone who might be a slightly better shot stopper, we'd be giving the ball back to the opposition the whole time. So, yes, we might let in 3 from shot stopping, but we've probably stopped 30 chances by keeping possession, and we've probably scored 50 goals by getting the ball out to Laporte and Rodri and up front quickly. So, you know, it's just, it's trying to take a little cog in a machine and pretend that you can take the cog out and the machine will still work the same. It
exactly.
Doesn't.
I said this earlier on, take Edison out of our team, you might as well not have Pep.
I'll tell you what, and I'm looking forward to when Edison kicks those long balls up towards Haaland.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is when I think the more respect is going to be put on Edison. So,
I mean, I've got to bring in what Ronnie says there. Eddie helped us beat the press, which is key to the Pep ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is why Pep brought him in. So,
yeah, and I think what he does, what Pep probably does want, and I think what Edison does need is a better backup goalkeeper just to keep that pressure on. Because I think the gap, especially after I think after Stefan crumbled a bit, you know, especially in that semi-final, I think there was no feeling that even if he lost form, that Edison could go out the team. And I think even you know, say that season with Bravo, there was a feeling that, you know, if Edison really dropped, there was someone to come in. I don't think we had that with Stefan. Ortega should be. He's battle hardened in the Bundesliga, and he looks, you know, I can't pretend I've watched him 100 times. Someone like Ryan can probably comment. He likes the German football. But he looks battle-tested, he looks battle-hardened, and he looks like he might push Edison to, you know, work that little bit harder. And, you know, that can't do anyone any harm.
Well, he did say that the only player not to score against him in the German league was Haaland. So
yeah,
and I don't deny that. I'm just saying his distribution was great last night, but I think the goal he could have done better with. I'm sorry, I just think. It was, if that had been Edison, there'd have been a whole different reaction put to it.
Yeah, because
it's his first game. Yeah, fair enough. You get a pass, no problem. I'm not burying anyone, but you know me, I don't do this. I'll give you the what I think, cold hard fact. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh well, got to play the nice card. I don't do that. Never have.
Yeah. But that's just the way it is, Martin. I mean, last season, the 2 worst misses of the entire season were by Bernardo, and no one cared. No one even noticed. No one commented.
No, but Sterling did it.
Sterling missed a chance like some of Bernardo's misses, and Sterling's crucified. That's just the way it is. That, you know, players who we love get away with things that players who we don't like get crucified for.
Yeah.
You know, Foden and Jack Grealish do the same, and we'll all stick up for Foden and say, oh, you know, it wasn't him, it was his mum or his Scousers, da-da-da. But if Jack Grealish did it, we'd all be saying Jack shouldn't be out drinking, he shouldn't be doing that. And, you know, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. Please, if you can give it a like, if you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe. We're nearly on 600. Don't know if we are. That'd be great. And get 600 live. That would be brilliant. Second half, then.
Well, I mean, all the changes that eventually came in, the game just kind of fell flat, didn't it, in the second half?
Yeah, it fizzled.
Yeah. But it was great. Well, I mean, that was the highlight, wasn't it? I think of the second half. I mean, he played so well. I was really impressed by him. You know, I think he could be part of the plans going forward. You know, he definitely impressed, I think, most of the City fans. More importantly, did he impress Pep? So I think the player that was kind of got a bit of stick was Cole Palmer. Didn't particularly play that well, but I mean, you know,
he had a few moments. So he did one beautiful turn a couple of their defenders inside out.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm looking forward to, because he's obviously going to be more than likely, you know, Mahrez' backup. I think we are going to see more of him. I think the plan was we were going to see more of him last season if he hadn't had his, you know, the injuries, the growth injuries. So this season, I think we need to kind of watch and see what happens.
Oh, well. Ronnie said Delap didn't impress him.
I mean, Delap came on. I mean, what did he pay? 15 minutes? You know,
I think Delap's time's done. I think it's done, dusted. So I can probably see Delap going with a buyback.
You know what should happen with Delap?
That are looking at him, aren't they? Because they want to strike.
Delap should go to Brighton. Delap should go for Brighton.
Look at you. Tony Bloom's not watching, Rich.
Yeah, well,
Tony Bloom is not sat watching the Mancunian way.
They need a striker. They need a couple of strikers. They need someone who can finish. Delap can finish. Send it, you know, get part exchange for Cucurella with a buyback so that we can get him back, you know, in a couple of years if we need to. And, you know, I think he needs to play. He needs to, you know, and I think he can play in the Premier League. And, you know, so Tony Bloom, listen up. We'll give you 25 million plus Delap. Get the deal done, and then we'll have a buyback on Delap at 40 million. Cheers.
Oh, sorry, but we're waiting for a reply of Tony there. Tony,
yeah, he'll be on the phone.
It's at the bottom, mate. Sorry, I might be able to show it better like this just for a minute. Look, Mancunian Way, 1894@gmail.com, at Horsey City on Twitter, or on Instagram, where Ozzy will no doubt send you a lovely reply, Tony, to Rich's offers. Two games, one more game, Bayern Munich. Now, apparently they are playing at the Green Bay Packer Stadium. That apparently is not actually a full-size pitch from what I've heard. I think they're going to have a game of five-a-side. I think from what I gather, you know, like Spurs have this relationship with where the NFL comes over for a game. I think, from what I've heard anyway, it looks like by the Green Bay Packers are going to go over to the Allianz Arena to play a game there. So I think it was set up for Bayern Munich to go and play City at the Green Bay. Now, then we come home, and then we've got Liverpool at Leicester. That sounds weird saying that. Liverpool at the King Power in the Community Shield. I know people will say the Community Shield is a friendly. It's still Liverpool. You still want to beat them. I always remember playing Liverpool at Wembley a couple of years back in the Community Shield. Trust me, you want to beat them. Whether it's a friendly or not, you want to beat them. Because they'll brag about it, we'll brag about it. So I don't class that as much of a friendly as what people may think. Because that'll be the Darwin Núñez versus Haaland shot. We all know that. Is 2 pre-seasons enough, considering everyone else has been out and about for the last 2-3 weeks? And we've only just rocked up and played our first game 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
And we've got enough.
We're playing one of our pre-seasons 2 days after West Ham, aren't we? I thought we had another pre-season game during the season.
Point. What are we doing playing Barcelona in between 2 Premier League games? Have we got this house backwards or am I lost here?
charity. What are you
I,
talking about? It's
yeah,
all for charity.
I think it's
know.
getting an extra game in. I think we probably. Yeah, it's a really, really tough one with the players, right? The players, a lot of them have barely had a rest for 3 or 4 years, and they needed a proper 4, 5 week, 6 week break. The season ended quite late because of COVID and everything else, and half our team and well, half the Premier League had to go out and play those stupid bloody internationals that took place for 2 weeks after the season ended. Absolutely ridiculous. So to give the players an actual 4 week break, which some of them have not had for a couple of years, we've had to bring them back, quite late or midway through July. So I don't. It's a difficult one. If you don't give them a proper 4 week break, you're going to get more injuries, and they're going to be absolutely dead halfway through the season. If you do give them a proper break, you're playing a shortened pre-season, and I don't reckon either of those is ideal, because the ideal situation would have been no stupid internationals after the Premier League finished. Everyone goes for 4 weeks holiday. They come back on July the 1st. You play 5 pre-season games and you start. But that's not what football is nowadays. Football is, this season is a stupidly, why they had those internationals in a World Cup year where we've got a bloody World Cup interrupt in the middle of the season. So we screwed up the players' summer, which means none of them come back fully fit to the Premier League season. We then lose them halfway through the season, the beginning of November, to the World Cup for 6-8 weeks, and then they're back on Boxing Day playing again. And our best players, like De Bruyne, are going to play 70 games if they played every game, which is probably 25, 30 games more than is ideal and safe for their fitness and their injuries. So, stupid bloody season.
Let me throw this. What Ronnie's putting here
should be scrapped.
Being in the Community Shield constantly, does it hamper our start?
What's the difference between playing that game and playing another game?
I think now, correct me if I'm wrong, Ronnie. Some people see the Community Shield as a bit more than a friendly, depending on who you're playing. Because, like I said, when you're playing Liverpool, or we played United a few years back when we went 2-0 up at our time, that was anything but friendly. Trust me, there was no friendly about that point. I think Klopp said it the other day, didn't he, when they played United? There's no such thing as a friendly when you play United at anything, whether it's tiddlywinks or goal cart and you want to beat them. So, and I think I'm just thinking to myself, is that Community Shield, when maybe we won't see it as a friendly, because I don't think the fans will. The fans ain't going to see that as a friendly down there.
Can I just say something, just because, about the Community Shield? For the last few years, the League Cup has been the cup that that everyone disses, but it's the cup that you can win early in the season, isn't it? The Shield is like that as well. If you win the Shield, it's a good start to the season, isn't it? Let's be honest. It looks good that you've suddenly won something. You can go on. It's that emphasis to carry on winning, and especially like you said against Liverpool. If we win that game, it's going to be the kickstart, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what we need.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So, I think from what I'm getting is ideally people would like more than 2, but there might be some longer term positives coming out from it, rather than playing like a Liverpool who are doing 6 games plus the Community Shield on top. United have obviously gone out to your neck of the woods, Rich, to do this big tour that they're doing, and
I think it's been good for United. Yeah, United have found their level.
No, but we've not gone to the other side of the world like United have, or Palace have, or Liverpool have. Liverpool have literally gone on a 24-hour flight. At least we've only done a 6-7 hour flight over. I'm not. It's better than some. Which brings us on to them. So, we've got 15 minutes so left. Can go longer, it depends, because I do want to open it up. Season expectation then. We've talked the ins, we've talked the outs, we've talked pre-season. what are we expecting? We'll start with you, Oz. What is your goals? Because, I mean, as Aaron Garner said, are we going to accept that we'll never win the UEFA? We can't be ours. Champions League, corrupt UEFA, whatever it is, cup competition.
Well, I think just to start off with the unusualness of this season, because it is going to be a very unusual season. We're going to have a winter break because of the World Cup. So that's going to put a bit of a twist on it, really, isn't it? Because, you know, players could get injured in that World Cup. What will that do for the rest of the season afterwards? I mean, there's just so much. It's going to be really weird, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's going to be worrying because, like I said, if we do get some injuries, because most of our players are going to be playing, you know, so the more the more players you've got of that quality, they're going to be playing for their national team. So it is going to be a worry. I think we're all going to be keeping our fingers crossed that they all come back fit. So for that weirdness of the season, we'll see what happens. But I mean, going to the Champions League, I mean, I am probably the only one on this channel that wants to win it. You know, we've had that debate where I pretty much led it, saying that I feel it's one we need to win. I especially want to win it before it changes as well. Is it next year it changes, Martin, or the year after? I feel like it's next year, but anyway, when the whole
2024, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I
What
want
do you
to
mean with the wild card stuff?
Yeah, and all that. I mean,
when United get a free pass back into it, you mean? Yeah, that one.
Yeah, exactly. So before the format changes, I do want to see us win it. And I think with the players we've got and the players that we potentially are going to get in, I think this could be really interesting. I think we could go on and win it this season. I mean, we've come close. You know, we've reached a final. I think we were very unlucky last season. You know, Real Madrid, just Real Madrid. But I think, you know, we can look at, you know, we're going to play in every competition. And it's just going to be how many trophies are we going to lift. The Premier League, obviously, is the one we all want to win. After that, everything else is a bonus. But I think with the quality players we've got, we can go out and win everything.
Well, Patrick's put here, can't decide if teams that have more players going to Qatar or teams with less players are going to benefit.
Probably the ones with a good mix.
I want England to piss off after the first round. I want England out early doors and come home. Sorry, I know that might
you'll
hurt.
Get your wish,
but
yeah,
you're probably going to get your wish.
Playing in 40 degrees isn't going to suit Northern European teams.
Get out, come home, and put your feet up for a couple of weeks. Watch the World Cup at home. Because I'm telling you now, I'm being honest. This is what I think. I may be wrong. I've got a feeling, you know. Just imagine this. Your team's top of the league by 6 points, 3 points, whatever. City, Liverpool going head to head again. The Champions League, if you look at the 6 games, they're done by October, I think. We're not going into November and December. There's quite a very compact Champions League group stage. I'm just wondering, will managers of clubs say to their players, may not like this, but drop an injury?
There's no players who are going to do that.
No.
I think, you know, it's
for players playing the big competition.
No,
I think this is going to be a very funny World Cup. I just do.
It is, but I don't think there's any players who are going to say, I'm not going to go to the World Cup, the pinnacle of football, because my manager's asked me to drop an injury. I don't think even Ryan Giggs will do that. So
Ferguson used to do it all the time. They pulled out the FA Cup and pissed off to Brazil.
How many World Cups did Ryan Giggs pull out of? None. But not that he had a chance.
I thought that was going somewhere else. But I thought, no, Rich. We're not that channel anymore, mate.
We've got players. We've got players like Jesus, who's left the best club in the country to play in the World Cup. So they'll go. I mean, the good thing for us is that we can give, you know, Haaland and Mahrez can put their feet up on holiday, and, you know, they go on holiday together anyway, so they can go down to, you know, Corfu or wherever they go and put their feet up and have a bit of a rest over, rest there. And then, the rest of the players, probably 15, 16 players will go to the World Cup. And, that's what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. And they're all going to give their all for that.
Has Rich gone chipmunk on you, or is it me? Has his voice just got a little bit higher and squeaky, or is it me? Maybe it's me, I don't know.
Yeah.
Ronnie, that was exactly where we were not wanting to go, mate. That was the point of the joke that we avoided. Wasn't it? Stop it, Ronnie. Naughty. Right. With the squad as it is, we've seen players have gone. And we know it's not the biggest squad we've had, which probably suits City now with Pep, keep everyone happy. And we're bringing we're presuming it'll be a left back and then windows shut. Do you sacrifice certain competitions? As in, would you roll the kids out in the cup competitions? I know I'm sacrilegious saying this, but do you go full blown? Not one of my first teamers will see the Carabao Cup this year. Bye. It's academy, out you go. Because I just don't think we've got a squad for a 60-game season.
I think
you
take the season, you take it as it comes, Martin. I mean, to make that call now's silly because we don't know. We could have Wycombe Wanderers and Swindon and Bristol Rovers on the way to the final, or we could have Liverpool, United and Chelsea. I mean, we don't know who we're going to draw. We don't know what the state of fitness is going to be of our team, whether we're going to, if we've got an entirely fit squad, the doctors are signed off, everyone's 100%, then we'll need to play some of the first team in those cups to get them game time and to keep the fitness up. If we've got 5 players injured and things are looking tricky, then we need to protect the players. So, frankly, if we're going up against West Ham or Chelsea compared to if we're going up against Swindon or Wycombe, we require a different standard of team. So I think we see how things are going at the time and we take each match as it comes based on the squad and the fitness at the time.
Last season we played Peterborough in the FA Cup. Ruben Diaz played and got injured. That's what I'm saying. Do we not do silly things like that again this year?
But it happens, Martin.
No, see, obviously you say that, but there was no need for Diaz to play against Peterborough, which put us into our injury crisis. That was the start of it. There was no need for it.
Martin, what we never know, we don't know what the state of those players going into that match is. And sometimes the players actually need to play a game to keep their fitness up to avoid injury, because if you don't keep them fully fit, they're more likely to get injured. So I think we're not going to take any stupid risks. And if you've got players who are 95% fit, you don't want to play them unless you have to.
But that's exactly what Muddy Duck's saying is my whole point. Do you just, I'm just saying to myself is exactly what Muddy Duck's saying. We don't have the depth of experience. We're going to have got new players that are going to take time. We've got 1 or 2 players that might have niggly injuries as they go along in the season. Just use a bit of common sense.
Yeah, but my view is on those players.
If you really think managers look at one game at a time, they don't. I know they say all that, but they really don't. They are looking 10 in advance.
No, that actually, they do look ahead, but they do look every game. City sit down with their doctors and their medical
team. They already knew by the time the FA Cup semi-final had come that was being.
They sit down, Martin. Yes. Because of the state of the squad at the time. If we'd have had 19 fit players before that game and everyone was on the top of their game and everyone was fit, we would have played a stronger team, because they sit down with the medical team, they get a medical report and a physio report on every single player, and they make a call. Will this player benefit from playing, or will this player actually be risky by playing? And we have to make those calls based on that. And where I think we've gone wrong is, going from one extreme to the other, which is playing a really strong team in the FA Cup with 11 first-team players, and then going into another cup like Wycombe and playing 9 kids. What I would like to see is us use the kids off the bench in the Premier League after an hour when we're 3 goals up to get some game time in the Premier League. And when we go and play a team like Peterborough, don't play 11 older players, play 7 or 8 and bring in 3 kids. Maybe play one fullback, or maybe play Mbete alongside a Stones or a Laporte. Maybe bring in McAtee, but bring in McAtee alongside Bernardo. Bring in players in the team so they've got a chance to actually play with the first team players and be part of the first team squad. Because if we get injuries and they come in, they're not going to come in playing with 9 academy teammates. They're going to come in slotting in alongside a good team. And that is what we've just got to get a bit smarter at, giving the likes who are fringe players, S-Brand, probably not Palmer, he's probably beyond fringe now. McAtee, a few of those players, give them half an hour here, give them 20 minutes there, give them 15 minutes there. Just get them playing alongside the first teamers.
The one thing we haven't actually said is also that, it's no longer 3 subs, it's 5 subs now going into this season. So
yeah,
the chances are that those players are going to get more of the time. With now having 5 subs, I think that the opportunity for more of the kids to come out is going to happen.
Yeah, I hope so. But I often think we never use subs anyway. So will it make a difference? I mean, the one difference it does make is I think most managers, Pep included, are always nervous about using 3 subs in case you get an injury. So you tend to use 1 or 2 and you hold 1 back. Whereas I guess now you can use 3 subs and you're still holding 2 back if your goalkeeper gets injured or, something crazy happens.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the concussion sub as well. So, there's your 6th sub if that happens. So, there is going to be a lot more rotation and hopefully.
I hope so. But Pep isn't always. I mean, although he surprised us all in the last game of the season where he suddenly, did bold early substitutes. But he hasn't overused subs, has he, generally?
No, but he has complained about it a lot. So
yeah,
complaints now need to turn into, well, you've now got your wish of 5 subs to start bloody using them.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I understand that. I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to preempt because, like you just said, Pep has a tendency to do A to Z. Like you said, Wickham, you get 9 or 10 kids. Peterborough, Swindon, I'm going to roll out. And I get like Ronnie saying that people at halftime, because I know this myself because I went on the tour, and they tell you that on the tour, Pep disappears at halftime and doesn't go in the dressing room for 8 minutes. He's staring at the laptop that's just situated outside the dressing room. So I get all that. But for me, I just think with the World Cup, I think that World Cup's going to play a bigger key than what we think. And also, I think it depends what the club will say. They will fight on all fronts. So let's go. I mean, Ozzy, to you, what's a successful season? What do you actually think? I'm going to put you on the spot right now. What we doing?
Again, we're playing in every competition. We plan to win every competition, Martin. I mean, that is the plan that Pep always sets out. And I think it's the plan that he wants to do, is to win every competition. We're going to be in every competition till the bitter end. It's just, are we going to win every trophy? I think you are right. And as I started at the point of saying, it's an unusual season that we're going to have this break for the World Cup. So it's going to be unusual. It's going to be strange. And it could throw one hell of a curveball into the competitions. It's difficult to say what's going to happen because of the World Cup. So for me, as long as we come out with the Premier League, and it would be nice if we could win the Champions League.
It's not giving that dream up anytime soon, is it?
I'm not giving that dream up.
I mean, I'd concur. You go into every season. If you win your league, it's a successful season. So our aim, 3-time 5 and 6 years in the Premier League. I think it's time we turn the Premier League into a farmers' league, and put Liverpool to bed a bit earlier this season.
So you went that Bobby Dav role then?
Yeah. Well, I said it's all about the Premier League. All about the Premier League. And
okay, well, that's what I'm saying.
Beyond that,
putting you on the spot. What are we winning?
We're going to win the Premier League. We're going to win the Premier League. We're going to win the Premier League.
Guess right now what we're doing. Who's the Premier League winners? Let me put it that way. Who's going to win the league for you right now?
You're doing to me or you're doing to Rich? Because Rich was the last person.
I did say. Sorry, I thought I said Aussie. Go on.
Oh,
sorry,
right.
go on.
Manchester City.
Okay, who are the winners for you, Rich?
City.
Okay. Who are our challengers? Is it Liverpool again?
Yeah.
Spurs.
No.
And this is the one thing I knew someone was going to throw that one out, man. Right, why? Because I'm sorry, not one of their signings gets anywhere near the City or Liverpool team.
Because Spurs have a better manager than Liverpool. And for all the hype around Liverpool, they've lost their best player. And they have signed a player, Nunes, who I watched a fair bit for Benfica. And Nunes is a player who thrives on being supplied with balls from out wide. He thrives on the cross across the box. He thrives on being supported as a striker. And Liverpool in Diaz and Salah have players who every time they've got a chance to do that will always cut inside onto their inside foot and do something themselves. So I think Nunes is going to take a long time to fit in at Liverpool. And I think Nunes has got immense pressure on him because the Liverpool fans are saying he's better than Haaland. He's had a good season in Portugal and they've compared him as better than Haaland. And so now he's going to get judged against Haaland. And I think that's going to be bad for them.
They're all coming for you, Rich. Yeah, they're all coming for you, mate. Yusuf will.
I think
Chris Baker's even where you're going with this.
Yeah. Where we're going with it is that I think in terms of a combination working together, I think Son and Kane. Well, Conte actually has a much better record. He wins
with
twice
money,
as many
with
league
money and with big players.
He wins twice as many league compared to seasons he manages than Klopp. Klopp has won 3 leagues in 21 years as a manager.
Yes, that'll give you, Rich.
That's a fact.
Spurs.
And Conte has won he's won more than that, and I think he's managed 13 seasons. It is Spurs
there's no denying
Son and Kane, and you cannot deny Son and Kane as a combination are.
Well, they've got crap behind them.
Yeah, I mean, no one's denying that Conte is not a good manager. No one's denying.
And I think Liverpool's intensity, the way Liverpool's play football, is an absolute nightmare in a season like this season's going to be, where you're going to play 70 games in a World Cup. They rely on intensity. They rely on keeping playing the same team, and they rely on that momentum. That is an absolute nightmare scenario as a style of football for the season like you do this season. This season, it's going to be about conserving energy, about keeping your players fit. So I think, I don't know, I just think that we might see a dip in Liverpool this year. I think Chelsea, who knows? I don't know whether they're going to be stronger or weaker. I just have no idea with Chelsea. But I think Spurs, since January, have been a very good side. And I think they've bought themselves some backup on the bench. I don't think they're first team starters necessarily. And I think Liverpool will drop back and that Spurs will improve, and maybe they'll go past them.
That's some bold claims right there, Richard. Bold claims. If we were going, all right, let's go for it then. The top 4 prediction.
City.
Go on, Rich. Start me off.
Spurs. City, Spurs.
I'm waiting for the M word.
No, Liverpool and Chelsea. Who's third? Who's fourth? City, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool.
Oh, I thought he'd throw Newcastle in. I really did thought he was going to chuck Newcastle in. By the way, Newcastle fans, go back to what I said a year ago when I said you ain't spending loads of money Oh, there you go. Get in line. Anyway, sorry, go on. I had to throw that in when everyone was having, Newcastle this, Newcastle that. And I got told I was talking bullshit.
Martin, top 4 then. Go.
City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham.
No change from this year.
No. Yeah, I do think there'll be a change. I think the gap between City and Liverpool will be bigger. Because I think City will throw the FA Cup and Carabao away this year. I don't even think I think we'll go out third, fourth round in each one. I just think Pep will look at this and prioritise 2 competitions. I think it'll be Premier League, Champions League, and we'll take the effect of it. Because like Money Duck said, we can't even scrape. We're just about scraping a Premier League squad at the moment. Right now, as we speak, we're scraping the barrels. So we need to prioritise. We need to seriously prioritise. And like I said, I think this is to a bigger picture because I think this refresh will go into next summer. There'll be 3 or 4 gone and there'll be 5 or 6 coming again next summer. I think this is just part 1 of the refresh. I think there will be
midfield's going to have to be rebuilt next summer.
Next year with midfield and a couple of more fullbacks maybe. But we'll see. Go on then, Ozzy.
What my top 4? Yeah, I think it'd be City. I think Liverpool. I think then Chelsea. And then, do I say it? I think it could be Arsenal. I just think they have made some smart signings this summer.
You mean Manchester City lie?
Well, we'll see.
They kind of are though, aren't they? They've got our assistant. They've took our left back. They've took our striker. They were trying. It's like, come on, just change it. They're basically doing what. Do you remember what we did a few years back when we got Adebayor and Clichy? You know, they're basically trying to get revenge back on us now.
I think top 4. The 4th spot is going to be interesting, isn't it? Really, because I think it is going to be between Spurs and Arsenal. United are not getting back into the top 4. I know every United fan wishes that would be the case, but they are so far behind. I still think there is such a mess that are going to get nowhere near the top 4 this season.
Well,
I think. I mean, the interesting thing with the Swamp Dwellers is that I do think that.
Which hang on, is that the ones down the M62 or the ones over in Trafford?
The ones in Trafford. I think they need a real root and branch rebuild of the club. I think Ten Hag could possibly do that, but they have to go backwards before they can go forwards, and they have to just change the whole culture of the club. So, I think, they're not going to be challenging for top 4, but I think we may see them improve over the season. I think they'll start well. They'll then have a real slump and they'll probably come back a bit stronger at the end of the season. Newcastle will be improved. They should be certainly challenging in that top 7-8 because, they've got a strong, their form was top 8 after January. So since they've signed, they'll get a few more good players. They'll be stronger. So I think it's going to be interesting because I think City there'll be a bit of a gap, but I think that from 2nd to 7th or 8th, there's going to be a lot of good teams there. A lot better than last season. The Premier League's stronger, and it's going to be fascinating. And I've predicted Conte to go well, but it's also possible Conte throws a wobbly in November, resigns, and becomes manager of PSG when they start badly. So, anything could happen.
I've got that as my biggest thing this year. I think Conte leaves. I don't think Conte sees the season out because I think I don't think Spurs will be able to give him what he wants. I agree with what you said. He is a winner, but he won't be able to get what he wants at Spurs because he's got Liverpool and City in front of him. So he'll throw the little wobbler like he did at Burnley. Oh, I'll just quit if I don't get what I want then.
Yeah.
So he opened the purse strings a little bit this year. That isn't really going to be a recurring theme for him at Spurs. They'll sort of flop again because they can't get over the two-headed beast that is City and Liverpool. And he'll go, hang on a minute, because everywhere he's been, he's won leagues.
Yeah.
He doesn't
And I think the other thing with Spurs compared to any other team almost in the whole division is they are utterly dependent on Kane and Son, and if one of those gets a 3-month injury, then they are, there's no other team I think who could lose a player and that would impact them as badly as if they lost, Son or Kane. I think, if Salah was out for Liverpool or Haaland was out for City or, De Bruyne or Van Dijk, that would be less serious than losing Son or Kane would for them.
Well, they brought in Richarlison, so, come on, Rich. Give
well, Money Duck's throwing out. Who's your dark horse team? Now, I don't know if he means finishing high, winning a cup. I just think he might mean just who's the team that will do well that you're not expecting to.
Could it be a team? Could it be United getting relegated?
No, Rich. Get off. Get off the arse.
I was so close to being right with that last year. That would be a dark horse if United went into the Championship.
I think he's talking about Notts Forest finishing 10th or something. Don't think he's talking about United being relegated.
Well, if a team coming up is going to do well, it'll be Nottingham Forest.
Why? Because they've just shot 200-300 grand a week on Jesse Lingard?
No, because Fulham and Bournemouth aren't going to do that. So it only
I don't know with Marco Silva. I've got just put Mitrovic into my player of the my team.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
My dark horse is Oxford United to win Division 1.
My dark horse prediction, which will be a bad thing, I don't think Eddie Howe sees the season out. Because I think the honeymoon period will be over.
I think my dark horse is Newcastle, but I think it's more that they'll do better than a lot of people think.
Nah, they've not bought anyone hardly. Because they can't spend.
Well, they have spent. They've brought in some.
Mainly, not to a point of billionaire owners spending.
Yeah, but we know that the landscape has changed since City.
That's what I mean. So that's what I always said.
Yeah,
but the excitement was never there.
No, but Eddie Howe, he did a decent job at Brighton. He kept them in the Premier League for a long time with even smaller budget.
Got them relegated.
Yeah, but he kept
still got them relegated. There was.
I know. Yeah, but he was throwing no money towards the end, though, Mark.
Get off! They spent 30-odd million on Solanke.
Well, that was a fucking mistake.
Bournemouth were run by a Russian oligarch or whatever they had. And the guy who was a City fan, can't remember his name. Rich, you might be able to tell me with that.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, their chief exec, yeah.
Yeah. And the Russian, he had a lot of money at the end. That's why they sacked him. Because he just fell apart when he got money. Because he went and spent 30 million on Dominic Solanke. I don't know whether
it's not always about, having world-class players, mate. It's about a team as well. And I still think Newcastle have got a decent team. Yeah. They've brought in some decent additions. And they've got not a bad manager. So what I'm saying to you is that I don't think they're going to kind of get into the top 4 and silly like that. But I think they may come into the top 7. I think Wolves are going to fall away this season. I don't have much.
We'll come into that with that. Who have you done your dark horse, Rich?
Yeah, I'm a bit worried that someone suggested Liz Truss is a dark horse, but
who? Who?
Liz Truss, Prime Minister. Yeah,
no, I'm not
that's-
getting it,
yeah.
mate.
No.
Actually,
Just not
Oh,
good.
yeah, I get it now. I
Yeah.
knew it would come from him. I knew it would come from
Yeah.
him.
My dark horse is that the Premier League season doesn't get finished because Liz Truss becomes Prime Minister and the country falls apart so much the Premier League season doesn't get finished. But the only dark horse it's got to be Oxford United in Division 1 to storm to the title and start their way back to the Premier League. And in the Premier League, Southampton. You know, Romeo Lavia turns out to be 10 times better than we thought, and they play against everyone else like they played against us last season and come 9th or 8th or something.
Throw your dark horse, and mine is to win a trophy. Obviously not the league. I think they'll win a cup. I think West Ham will win a trophy this year.
Well, they've got a good shot at the what competition? The European competition that Roma won last season.
The European Conference. I don't know.
Conference League.
Who's your relegation?
Conference.
Yeah.
I meant it in the Premier League though, Charlie, when they bought him. I don't mean when they were in.
Do you know going on for one of the relegation kind of fight? I'll tell you one of my worries going into relegation is Leicester.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a stretch.
I'm going to go for.
I'm
going to go from Oz.
Well, because they've made no signings so far. They had a poor season compared to, only a few seasons ago, they were playing the Champions League. They'd won the Premier League, and their fall from grace has been quite dramatic. I don't think there's much faith in Brendan Rodgers because by now they would have spent some money, given some money to rebuild this team. I've just got a feeling that it could slip to the point. I'm not saying they're going to get relegated, but I feel they're going to get dragged into that relegation fight.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Fulham, Bournemouth, and United going down.
Oh, fucking hell, they've done it again.
They're just so bad. I mean, maybe Ten Hag will do a job and keep them up.
Ten Hag's the Messiah, aren't he? He's already won the Asia Cup.
Wouldn't you love to see Ronaldo signing a renewal and playing in the Championship?
Well, that's something we need to talk about at some point. Where the hell does Ronaldo end up going?
They go down. Oxford go up, and then Oxford United against Ronaldo.
My 3 to go. I hate to say this, but I do think Everton will go. I think Everton will go. I think Brentford will go. Second season syndrome, whatever it is. Third season, second or third season for Brentford. I can't remember anymore. But I think Brentford will go.
Third season, that.
Do you know the team who I do think will go? Because I don't think Fulham will go. Don't think Forest will go. I've got a really sneaky feeling for Leeds to go.
I think they did well to start last season, didn't they? Let's be honest.
I think losing
community, I don't instilled any confidence really.
No.
Yeah, they've made some not bad signings, I suppose, for them. They have lost 2 key players in there, Phillips and Rafinha.
Second season syndrome for Brentford. That's what I think they'll go, yeah.
Yeah, I think if United manage to scrape staying up, Brentford.
Oh, shut up, Rich, with that.
Do you know, I think going back to mine, I think Wolves. I think Wolves could get dragged down and they could be relegated this season. I think, I look at it as the possibility of Wolves, Leicester, and
don't say that. I've just put their goalie in my fantasy team. Don't tell me that they're off down. Oof. Yeah, tell you what, I'll tell you my fantasy team, then you know who's getting relegated because I did crap at that. Saying that, I have got Haaland, Salah, and somebody else all in my team at the moment, so I'm expecting to do well.
Yeah, you shouldn't have Scousers in the fantasy team.
Just to let you all know, the Fantasy Football League is now back up and running. If you did not leave it, if you did not leave the Premier League one last year, don't worry. You haven't been kicked out. You're still in it. Teams are now. If you want to join, I don't know if Ryan Corey's still in it. But yes, Ryan Corey can let you know. But I will put it, I'll tag it in the comments anyway. But yeah, it is back up and running. Everyone's on the phones here. I'm missing something. Should I be looking at my phone here or something? Are we having a WhatsApp chat and I haven't been told?
Yeah. No, my work day started, mate.
Oh, well, didn't you tell me? Just to let you know, in here, there's a big private chat. Bang it in there if you need to say out to me. Yeah, Ryan's gone to bed. There you go then. Yeah, I'll bang it in the comments. Right. Has anything they want to end on before we wrap it up like?
Just to say thanks everyone for joining us again. I know we've been away for a while, but we needed a bit of a break. And it's kind of good to see you all again, and we're looking forward to the new season and having you all join us.
Rich?
Good. Well, I was going to say good night, but it's the morning. But anyway, good morning, good evening, yeah. And it's great to see everyone on, and yeah, I think it's been nice to have a break from football. And I think the new signings have given a bit of excitement. Start of last season, it just felt like there'd been no break through all COVID and not many, I suppose we had Grealish, but not much change. So kind of felt a bit like it was just a roll on from the previous season. So I've actually enjoyed having a break. I didn't pay any attention to the international football. And yeah, now I'm quite excited about watching how Haaland gets on and, seeing the beast in action.
Yeah. And big thank you from me. We have had a break. Thank you for bearing with us. It has been a long time, but we needed that break. As I said, we worked on some new graphics and everything else. Brand new opening. If you missed it and come in late, please go and watch it back and play back. We're nearly at 50 likes, which is amazing for first time in over 2 months. Big thank you for that. I know it's been a long one. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure your notifications are on. It's public, so you know when we're live. Follow us over on our social medias there. Got Instagram, our email, and also the Twitter page is open. There will be some slight little changes to this season. But we'll go along here as we go along because the watch-alongs won't be here. We're going to do pre-match, post-match, Thursday night shows. We're still going to do what we do, just to watch-alongs, simply because I want to take my dad to more games this year. Because sadly, and I'm going to be honest with you, my dad has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so I need to go and spend some time with him at football games and make some memories. So that's why there won't be watch-alongs, but there will definitely always be pre-match, post-match. And you will see some of the guests as well that we're going to get on, because I know Veta wants to come on. Ozzy may do some hosting. We don't know. We've got lots of things going on, but lots of smiles, lots of everything. Can't wait. I've really enjoyed this one. Thank you for bearing with us. And yeah, I've forgotten how you end these now. We haven't done this for so long on stream yet. Right. Like, where do we go? But big thank you to you all. Sean, FIFA, Charlie, Chris, Sean Fogarty, Mingy Wong's back in, Muddy Duck, Jack Lee from earlier on. There's a lot of people come back, and we want to thank every single one of you. So take care. I'm on holiday now. I'm going away for 10 days. So there may be something, there may not, but we will definitely be back before the first game of the season. We're going to do a pre-match for the West Ham game. But you never know. We might do something in between. Keep an eye on the socials for when we're back. But take care. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the sunshine. And it's all about to start again. and we're going to enjoy the ride. Take care.
Night.
Right.